Hello.
I apologize for the technical difficulties we had logging into the meeting.
Mil perdones por el retraso y problemática para ingresar a la junta.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about the delay. We were diligently trying to fix all technical issues.
Buenas noches a todos. Mil perdones por el retraso. Estamos tratando de componer todas las dificultades técnicas.
Before we start, I'm gonna have Brilia give some instructions about the simultaneous translation.
Antes de comenzar, Miss Graylia Steele nos va a dar indicaciones de cómo escoger el idioma en el cual queremos escuchar la presentación. Gracias.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my apologies for the delay and the technical issues we had starting this meeting. My name is Graylia Steele with Public Affairs, and we will be providing this meeting in Spanish and English. As in the past, if you would like to hear the presentation in Spanish or in English, you have to activate an interpretation feature, which is at the bottom of the screen. By clicking interpretation, you'll be able to select either Spanish or English. Muchísimas gracias a todos por sintonizar esta noche a la reunión y mil disculpas por la interrupción que tuvimos técnica. Esta reunión se da en español y en inglés y la opción de interpretación está abajo de la pantalla donde pueden seleccionar interpretación en español o en inglés. Muchísimas gracias. The meeting will now begin as a bilingual meeting. Vamos a empezar con la reunión y va a ser bilingüe. Muchísimas gracias.
Good evening, everybody. Before we start, we have to conduct the electronic meeting script. So I apologize again for the technical difficulties and for the lengthy wording about electronic meetings. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA, the Manufactured Housing Task Force needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. I ask you in advance for your patience. My name is Soledad Portilla, one of the co-chair people of the Manufactured Housing Task Force. To officially begin the meeting and because each voting member of the task
Y cada uno de los miembros está participando en esta junta desde una ubicación por separado. Tenemos que tener un quórum de votos de todos los participantes, estén aquí o la mayoría, para poder tener un consenso o una votación. Voy a pedirles a todos su nombre y que quienes están participando en la junta digan su nombre, su ubicación y en dónde están participando, su organización. Pongan atención a esto para que se pueda oír a sus colegas bien. Y después de presentarnos, de pasar lista, vamos a asegurarnos de que todos nos podamos escuchar. Quiero comenzar con yo, Soledad Portilla, de Fairfax, Virginia. Elizabeth Larner. Soy Elizabeth Larner, de la ciudad de Alexandria. Roderick. Carla Clark. Adela Barrera.
Mi nombre es Adela Barrera y represento la comunidad de Audubon.
Kenny Mendrano. Kathy Clement.
Kathy Clement. Estoy aquí de la ciudad de Alexandria.
Víctor Rivera. Lori Weiser. José Matus. Carlos Carrero.
Carlos Guerrero, representing Meadows of Chantilly in Chantilly, Virginia.
James Turner. Lisa Epps. Chris Ebert.
Chris Eberts here from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Margaret Johnson.
Hi, this is Margaret Johnson. I'm in Chantilly, Virginia. I'm with the Fairfax County Department of Housing and Community Development.
Josie Valdez. Ronnie Robbins.
Ronnie Robbins from Bethesda, Maryland.
David Levine.
David Levine calling from the city of Alexandria.
Ken McMillan. John Boylan.
John Boylan from Herndon, Virginia.
Jill Norcross.
Jill Norcross calling in from Reston, Virginia.
Rick Edson.
Rick Edson calling from Bethesda, Maryland.
Mark Vianney.
Mark Vianney calling in from Mount Vernon District.
And Stuart Kane.
Good evening, Stuart Kane calling from Vienna, Virginia.
Eric Marie Bojok. Not sure if he is able to join. He's not here yet. Regina, can you let me know if we have quorum?
Madam Co-Chair, we have 14 members on the line at the moment.
Did I miss anybody? Anybody that joined in late?
Hi, Soledad. This is Ava Nguyen from McLean, Virginia.
Okay, did I miss you? Sorry, Eva. So we have quorum, Regina. We need 15, right?
Correct.
Okay. I don't know if Eric's here, so I'm gonna keep going. I move that each voting member voice may be adequately heard by each other voting member of the Manufactured Housing Task Force.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Second, having established that each voting member may be heard by each other voting member, we must establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures. The fact that we are meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we have arranged for public access to this meeting. Therefore, I move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe or impracticable for the task force to physically assemble, and that as such, FOIA's usual procedures will require the physical assembly of the task force, and the physical presence of the public cannot be implemented safely or practically. I further move that the task force may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public might access this meeting through the meeting link on the Manufactured Housing Task Force page of the Fairfax County website, or by calling one of the Zoom dial-in numbers also posted on the website. It is so moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Finally, it is next required to establish that the meeting provides for the manufactured housing task for continuity of operations or the discharge of its lawful procedures, duties, and responsibilities. It is so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for your patience for that procedure. Again, I want to apologize for the little delay. We have a pretty packed agenda tonight. The second item on the agenda is the presentation of the community survey for Harmony Place. I'm going to let Tom Fleetwood make the introductions.
Thank you, Soledad, and good evening, everyone. And again, thank you for your patience with our technical issue. Tonight, it's our pleasure to welcome Amilcar Benitez and Marisela Camacho to make a presentation with respect to the survey work that was done at the Harmony Mobile Home Park, which I think we are all going to be listening to with great interest, and also as a potential wayfinding for some of the work that we're going to discuss here a little bit later this evening. And so with that, it's been a real pleasure to work with our partners at Harmony Place, and I want to welcome Amilcar and Marisela. Bienvenidos.
Gracias.
Just a moment, Marisela, ¿van a hacer la presentación en español o en inglés?
Marcela, you're going to present in English or in Spanish? In Spanish. And I will be happy to toggle. Good evening to all. My name is Amilcar Benitez. I am a resident of Harmony Place. And in this night, we are here to present the results of the survey that was made in 2021.
I hate to interrupt, but before we begin, Gloria, I'd like to share the screen so that the presentation will be seen.
Absolutely. Go ahead. And just a reminder for those who would like to tune in to the audio in English, please select the translation feature and select the English channel. Thank you.
¿Puedo dar inicio?
Sí, por favor, continúe.
Sí, esta encuesta que se
Yes,
realizó.
this survey that we took place in the community of Harmony, the one we're gonna speak about tonight, we have in the screen a slide in which we're going to be presenting the work that we had in the community, jointly with the community leaders and some organizations that supported us. In the intro, we have this survey that that took place in the community, in Association of Community Leaders and Harmony Place, working in United, and this other organization, Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance. Jointly, we were able to apply this survey. In the next slide, we can see the intro that this survey was made in August, was completed in August of 2021. And the results were shared with the community in October of the same year. The community leaders shared these results with the community on that night in October. As you can see in the pictures, we can see the leaders that work together with hard work in order to have this survey applied. We have the bases here And we can see the park of mobile homes in Harmony Place. It is a park that has 84 homes, 84 families that live in this community. A lot of the residents have lived here for more than 10 years or more. And in fact, when we made this survey, we saw that there have been families that have lived there 24, 26 years. The majority of these people are renters, but also some of us have purchased these, and the majority of us are owners of these mobile homes. In the next slide, we can see in the same way the basis information. For a long time, we've had a lot of projects in the city of Alexandria, Fairfax, the county of Fairfax, and we have been through the survey, we realized that the community is fearful of being pulled apart. It is widespread fear, and the majority of Harmony Place residents are interested in community ownership. We were afraid that it would be sold to a private company. We were very interested as a community, even with the help of Supervisor and Mr. Thomas, that were helping us be able to, in some way, and with the community, but it was not possible. We are still fighting these, or these are our homes. But at the same time, in the next slide,
sigue el miedo al desplazamiento.
we can say that we are still afraid of being and somewhere else. Almost 80% of the residents are extremely concerned about these displacements. Why so worried? Extremely concerned because a private owner, he can decide what to do with the community. They are mobile homes, which in which a new investor can decide to build a building of apartments, a tower, or a market or office space, and any investor can build what seems fit. And the people, the community that live in this place of Harmony Place, know that we could be displaced. So after the survey, the residents learned that the park could be sold, which will make the fear of displacement even worse.
Cuando nosotros nos interesamos,
so when we were interested in buying, our interest was that for the county to help us, and they tried very much so, but it was not possible. A private citizen, a private buyer came and they bought it. So we're not able to keep it within us, but we have this fear, which is pretty much a latent fear or existing fear.
Del costo de la vivienda. Esto pues, perdón, creo que me salté el 7.
Oh, please forgive me. I think we skipped number 7. Slide number 7. Yeah, the cost of the housing is a worry also for the citizens of this park, how much it will increase if it is sold. We have a new owner, and they're from North Carolina, and it's from Sit Rock. And the fear that we had about the rent being heightened, it is even greater, because this new owner is a private owner and he can say what to do with this park. And practically he is making some improvements, but many in our community are saying what's going to happen once he's made these repairs. much more is he gonna charge us for the rent? It is a big worry and a question that all of us make to each other as residents today. 88.6% of the participants of the survey are extremely worried for the high cost of living or are renting in the community. In the next slide, we are still talking about the high cost of renting or our living arrangements. Here, 43.94% of the survey participants of the survey pay more than 30% of their income for rent. 18.18 of the participants in the survey pay more than 50% of their income for rent. Data on mortgage payments was excluded due to an error. So the true percentage of the cost burden participants may be greater. Percentage is based in the participants of the survey that inform about the monthly cost and also their income perceived. On the next slide, 9, it is the high cost of living. The cost of living arrangements or quarters does not take into account other costs such as utilities and service fees. The median amount survey participants paid for other housing costs was $350 per month. In the next slide, number 10, we have the high cost of living. The residents expressed their concern about the high of water on the survey and the community event. The payment amounts fluctuate a lot from one month to the other. This is about related to the water cost. In the next slide, number 11, we have the impact of the cost of housing. The majority of survey participants were unable to pay for other necessities due to high housing costs in 2019. The most common necessities or needs that participants could not pay for were phone bills, medicines, and doctor's appointments. Many of these persons will say, as we were surveying them, that because of rent being so high and all the payments after the rent, they rather stop paying their phone bills or buying even their medicine or attending an appointment with the doctor because the high cost of housing not allow them to pay for these needs. The conditions of the community of Harmony Place, for many years we have been living here, and as you can see in these graphs, we can see in this illustration or pictures, we can see the conditions where we are living in. These can be what they are planning on repairing, these bad conditions, but it is a process. We are still living in these conditions that you can see in these photographs. The water in the streets that gets in puddles, stored in puddles. This is water from untreated water, from some fracture of the plumbing. And these are the conditions that you can observe now. Residents are still worried for the conditions of the community. In the next picture, you can see many trees that have fallen. This tree was close. I was close to this house when that fell, and it took with it a electric cable. The 98.69 of the participants are extremely or moderately concerned about the quality of streets in the community. As we mentioned before, while we were doing this survey, people seem very, very concerned for these conditions, for all that I've been talking about. In the next slide, we're continuing with the conditions of our community, how it is found. And 90.79% are extremely or moderately concerned about lack of lighting on the streets. As we can see in one of the photos on the lower part, we can see that
Está bastante oscuro.
it is very dark. These are the living conditions where Harmony Place finds itself. There are not enough lights. There is only one light for the whole avenue. This is what we see. It is very dark at night, and when it rains, this is what we have. When we have a lot of rain, this is what you can see. We can see that there is a small creek, and when this happens, when strong rain happens, it doesn't allow for it to flow, and then we are under these conditions of flooding. Then the trash also plugs in these ways to dispose of the trash. The 89.47% are extremely or morally concerned about this flooding occurring in our community. Now, in the next slide, also, as we all know, the impact of COVID in 2019 has brought a lot of challenges for a lot of people, not just in our community, but everywhere. And these challenges have been documented in the survey, and they were affecting the community before COVID, but this only made it worse. Many residents of Harmony Place are essential workers who lost their jobs or became sick with the virus. But practically, this is what we can show, and we live in this community because we want in some way, not because we want to live under these conditions, but because this is what we can afford from our income. And even so, it's still very worrisome that a new owner can arrive and heighten the price of our rent or our services. As you can see in this picture, we can show you that people that live in this community are working people that fight daily for to sustain their family. The impact of COVID in slide number 15, the residents continue to experience health and economic impacts from the pandemic. Even on top, besides the pandemic, more than half of the survey participants reported the rent went up in both 2020 and 2021. I am president of the community, and it didn't matter if there was a pandemic or not. The last owner increased the rent regardless, and we have to pay it. This is what we have here. We have a lot of people that were impacted. They lost their jobs, and I had to go live week to week. They had to keep under quarantine, but the rent increased nevertheless. In the next slide, we have the value of our community. Even though the community faces challenges, most residents like living in Harmony Place and do not want to move. Harmony Place is a community that is found in a centrally located place. Many of the people that drive, they do not have necessarily a vehicle to go do their shopping, and they can have they can take a bus or walk. Is centrally located, and also children in the school is found very close by. There is a school bus that comes to our community. As you can see, it is a community of 84, 85 families, a lot of children, and they are happy here. In spite of the conditions that we may live under, they are happy. We're a very united community, and even through the pandemic and all these circumstances, we help one another. Some of us, they help each other taking care of their kids, receive them at the bus, take them to their home until their mothers return. It is a very united, nice community where we like living, and we would like to continue living here for many years come. So that's why we hope for your support, for the organizations that might be able to help us continue living in Harmony Place. These are the community values in the next slide. In this one, we continue to see about community values. More than 90% of the survey participants value that their community is within walking distance to amenities, including public transit. As I mentioned it before, more than 80% value their relationships with their neighbors, the relative affordability compared to other parts of the county, and being close to good schools. We lived in a county where cost of living is high. Fairfax is one of the counties that is expensive. But in spite of all of these, we find ourselves in one of the places where the rent has been increased. But we are still believing that we still can pay our rent, and that's why we want to continue living in this community of Harmony Place. Next slide. This has been our presentation of Harmony Place community. Thank you to all. Thank you for being here this night. And we wanted to present about a community to each of your organizations and to all here present to be able to hear from our point of view and how these may affect us. And thank you to all the organizations that helped us take care of this survey and for all here present. Now I'm going to allow my collaborator, Marisela, speak.
Marisela está en mute.
Marisela tiene apagado su micrófono.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Marisela Camacho. Tengo 12 años de vivir aquí en la comunidad de Harmony Place. Como ustedes saben, los resultados de la encuesta son muy claros, lo que la comunidad nos preocupa. Lamentablemente, aún seguimos con las mismas condiciones, pero esperamos que la comunidad mejore pronto, así como también le pedimos al
And we
ministro
also ask the Ministry of Housing and
que nos sigan apoyando, ya que hay muchas cosas que cambiar en la comunidad. Les voy a platicar un poquito de mi experiencia aquí en la comunidad. Como ya les comenté, tengo 12 años de estar viviendo aquí en Harmony Place y me gusta porque se vive tranquilo a pesar de las consecuencias que estamos viviendo.
in spite of the consequences that we are living.
Yo no me quiero ir de aquí Y a mis hijos les
I do not
gusta
want to live or leave this community.
y otra de las ventajas es que
Another one of the advantages is that everything,
doctores, etcétera. Ya que yo no manejo, yo puedo ir caminando a las tiendas y así como yo, hay muchas personas en la misma situación. Lo único que tenemos en contra son las condiciones y es por eso que necesitamos mucho de su ayuda.
a lot
Agradecemos
of help.
mucho que siempre estén pendientes de la comunidad.
We appreciate
Necesitamos mucho de su apoyo.
that, and we need your support.
Les
This is
y pues gracias y les deseo una feliz noche.
thank you, and I wish you a great support. Gracias a thank you, Amil.
Y aquí estamos para oírles. Now, Evelyn Urrutia nos va a hablar de lessons learned.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for inviting us to be part
Gracias
of
por la oportunidad.
I just want to share a few things that we learned.
Quiero compartir algunas cosas. Estamos como organización desde hace 35 años. 2 años atrás he estado trabajando con Harmony Place. Venir a esta comunidad ha sido un gran reto. Hemos aprendido mucho. Las comunicaciones, las condiciones han sido muy difíciles. El COVID, la pandemia, todo eso ha sido mucho reto.
Opportunity to work with Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance. It was a key in this process.
Esto ha sido una clave en el proceso. También tener
also having the county to be on the side of us to create this survey was really important for us. We learned a lot through this community, not just only about the challenges, but also the resilience that they have, how strong they are. They quick got organized, they quick create the survey. The creation of the survey was really transparency, the whole process. So I think that was really important because it was really unique. We engaged the community members at the beginning of the process. They were the ones who were creating the questions. They were the ones who were helping to implement that survey. And they were the ones who were basically evaluating the survey with Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance. So I think the whole process was really important. So what we have learned is that when you engage the community in the level that we did at this moment, it's really important. That's what it should be happening, right? We shouldn't be waiting until we see a problem. We should be proactive and really focusing on mobile homes community and really focusing with the
comunidad, las familias de bajo.
This one, I think it's really eye-opening for a lot of people. Not for us who have been in the ground for more than 35 years, but it is an eye-opening for a lot of people in the government, right? That maybe didn't have a chance to stop by and look at the conditions of the community. But for us being there, I think it was really important to have that unique lens and be able to work with the community through this process. What do we want?
Evelyn, could I just cut you off for just a moment? If you could slow down so our Spanish interpreters could keep up with the message, please. Thank you.
Will do, thanks. So what do we definitely want to look into this is more like how the county can support residents like Harmony Place. I know there is a lot of challenges, but also there is a lot of opportunities. We are here, we're really glad to work with the Harmony Place. They are in a unique conditions right now, but they're waiting for something more than that. They have a lot of hopes and hopefully changes will come to that community. Their two biggest concern is displacement, right? And we know that having high rent increase and having the cost of living, not just only for Fairfax residents, but for everyone who live in the United States at this moment, I think it's going to be a really challenge for this community. That's all what I have to say at this moment, and we are open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. We really appreciate the work that you did along with all the Harmony Place homeowners, giving their time to complete the survey and being here tonight to give their testimony. I would like to open the floor to questions to any task force members. No questions. Yeah, I have a question.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I just
Kathy.
sent a question in. The translator was not working during Marciela's comments. Could we get a summary of her comments?
Yeah, I don't know if the translators took notes or not, but what I got from Maricela's testimony is that she really likes living at Harmony Place. She has 3 kids. She doesn't have a car. It's a great location to be able to walk to all the stores that she needs. The school system is really good. Their kids really.
De escuelas también es muy bueno.
The school and the way the community feels and the community they have there at Harmony Place. She said something that's irreplaceable, and she is not wanting to move. So the topic of displacement came over and over. I don't know if any of staff or translator have anything additional to add to Maricela's testimony.
Thank you.
Soledad,
Yeah.
this is Graylia. That was the gist of her testimony. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I see a raised hand from Jill.
Yes. Thank you so much. I don't have a question. I just really wanted to thank those who took the time to present to us this evening. I think it was extremely informative to kind of hear more about the survey results, as well as the testimony from the residents, as well as Tenants and Worker United, and just really wanted to thank you for making that opportunity possible for the members of the task force to be able to hear your experience. It really was very informative for all of us, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Jill. I see a hand, raised hand by Carla.
Sí, buenas tardes. Yo quería decir que también quiero recalcar algo muy importante para las comunidades de móviles, que de una vez traten de poner algún tipo de ley que nos proteja sobre lo que es la subida de renta y sobre las multas que nos ponen. Las trailers como Harmony Place y las trailers de Rápido, ellos pagan agua, pero muchas veces les cobran demasiado alto, porque no es de Fairfax County, es de los propietarios y nadie regula esos precios. Entonces, sobre el aumento de renta, ellos también pagan muy alto lo que son los servicios básicos, como el agua, en el caso de estos 2 lugares. Eso aumenta mucho más a los gastos de las comunidades y lamentablemente no tenemos nada que nos proteja o algo para que no permita que los propietarios suban o incrementen las multas o las rentas sin ningún tipo de control. Eso es algo que a lo mejor a nosotros como comunidades de bajos recursos nos ayudaría mucho, y es algo que sí me gustaría que este grupo trabajara para poder lograr algo así. Gracias.
Hania, if I could ask you to translate a summary of what was mentioned. I brought everyone under the same audio. Thank you.
Carla's suggestion was to ask the county to maybe work on some kind of rent control that will help all mobile task force homeowners have a little bit more certainty on a month-to-month basis of what the rent's going to be. She also brought up a point about utilities and water services, that the cost is really high, and it's not directly billed by Fairfax Water or Fairfax County, but billed from the owner of the land. So she wanted also to see if there's anything the county can do to deal with a high cost of utilities. I see a hand up from Tom.
Veo una mano de Tom.
Thank you, Soledad.
Muchas gracias, Soledad.
Are you there?
Okay, thank you.
Gracias.
Just a couple of comments with
Solo un par de
Un par de
comentarios con respecto a Harmony. Yo
comentarios.
sé que tenemos que seguir adelante
Creo que tenemos que avanzar
para comenzar nuestra discusión
para hablar
sobre las
acerca de
recomendaciones, pero
ensayo.
la sociedad entre los residentes y Harmony y el condado y las personas que viven ahí, los trabajadores, esto ha dado mucho fruto y es muy importante reconocer que el condado ha podido recuperar 8,5 millones en un par de semanas para poder ayudarle a los residentes que pudieran hacer una oferta para la propiedad. También pudimos traer un número sustancial de recursos sobre esta propiedad, también con el nuevo dueño, comenzar a enfrentar estos problemas que se han heredado, que él ha heredado. Harmony Place para mí es un trabajo en progreso. Creo que lo bueno que tenemos acá es que estamos trabajando juntos de buena fe.
At Harmony Place. So just wanted to thank again
Darles
everybody.
las gracias nuevamente a todos los que han participado en este proceso, todos mis colegas con el condado que han trabajado tan fuerte para poder ayudar a Harmony, también al señor Ebert, que es el nuevo dueño y
In very close contact with
ha
all.
estado en contacto muy cercano con todos nosotros ahora que queremos seguir adelante. Muchas gracias.
I see Mary and then John, and then we'll move on.
Mary y luego John y luego vamos al siguiente slide y vamos a seguir con la agenda. Solo quiero mencionar que puse en el chat una dirección de YouTube para un panel, una discusión de panel muy buena que se ha puesto junto, que se ha puesto por el condado, los que han estado ayudando con la encuesta. Y esto puede servir de modelo para otras áreas, aunque en este caso no funcionó, pero por favor pueden verlo en el chat y pueden ver un enlace para esta discusión en YouTube.
Thank you, Mary.
Gracias, Mary.
John.
John,
Thank you.
gracias.
So I may not say it the right way, but
Tal vez no lo voy a decir de la mejor manera, pero si estoy en el grupo de trabajo, tengo que hacer preguntas para tratar de buscar soluciones. Creo que todos estamos simpatizando con los residentes y lo que pasa, pero una de las preocupaciones que yo tengo es que es bien fácil meternos en el grupo de los que alquilan versus los que son dueños y algunos que caen en el medio. Hay condiciones de vivienda que son inapropiados y que se tienen que enfrentar. Idealmente, y parte de esto, lo que no estábamos haciendo anteriormente es qué piensan los residentes. Y esto es una excelente encuesta para que nosotros podamos entender. Pero una de las cosas que nosotros tenemos que averiguar es qué recomendaciones tenemos que hacer, aparte de simpatizar con las cosas que tienen que enfrentarse. Ellos no quieren mudarse, quieren estar donde está y que se reparen las cosas. Si todo se repara, van a reparar las casas, van a reemplazar las casas. ¿Qué son las cosas que ellos están dispuestos a trabajar? Tal vez tienen que haber algunos rangos donde se puede ver qué es lo posible de hacer. Yo no espero que ellos Yo sé que algunos no son planeadores especiales o con experiencia, pero ahí es donde viene nuestra experiencia en diferentes áreas para tratar de ayudarlos, entenderles qué son, cosas son posibles. Y ahí es donde estamos teniendo problemas. No solamente irme por mi corazón. Yo tengo compasión, sí, pero eso no nos va a ayudar. Tenemos que ver soluciones. Tal vez Soledad o Tom nos pueden ayudar con un poquito de eso, de hacia dónde vamos a ir. Gracias, John. Eso es una forma excelente de seguir adelante hacia las recomendaciones que mandamos al grupo de trabajo. Regina, ¿puedes compartir la presentación? Vamos a dar un pequeño resumen
Different
de las cinco de las 5 áreas estratégicas en las que nos vamos a enfocar. Y luego vamos a movernos al tema de esta noche. Las recomendaciones que se mandaron al grupo de trabajo al principio de marzo se dividen en 5. En el alcance de la comunidad, que vamos a hablar esta noche, comprendiendo las necesidades de la comunidad, lo que va a ser la reunión del 11 de abril, cumplir con los códigos en la reunión del 9 de mayo, el uso de la tierra. Vamos a poner una nueva fecha para el 6 de junio y ese documento final va a ser discutido en una reunión en junio. Y la legislación, o se me olvidó esa. No sé si los miembros del grupo de trabajo tienen alguna pregunta sobre los temas de la revisión general o las fechas de reunión. Yo tengo una pregunta, Soledad. Soy Ronnie Robbins. Una de las preguntas, y tal vez está acá, ¿qué papel puede jugar el papel en ayudar tal vez a financiar la corrección de algunas de las condiciones que son deplorables? Yo sé que es una palabra mala, pero que son deplorables en este parque. No entiendo. Yo sé que eso es un componente de esta conversación basados en esa presentación. Creo que vamos a hablar de necesidades de la comunidad y el código de cumplimiento y la comunidad, la calidad de las comunidades, y tal vez luego podemos hablar sobre qué es lo que podemos hacer y cuáles son los retos financieros. Sí, brevemente, Ronnie, gracias por esa pregunta. Definitivamente vamos a hablar de eso y creo que van a ver que vamos a hablar de esto grandemente, como dijo Soledad, en las próximas 2 componentes, el entender las necesidades de la comunidad y también los códigos de cumplimiento y calidad de las comunidades. Ciertamente tenemos una herramienta muy poderosa que es la finanza que podemos proveer y estamos buscando de verdad hacer esto en más detalle. Ah, Van a ver estas discusiones en un borrador de lo que hemos hecho en este documento que se mandó, pero esta noche nos vamos a enfocar específicamente en la divulgación y participación de la comunidad.
Mary, ¿tiene una pregunta? Sí. En la agenda, en el horario, veo que hay muchas juntas de condiciones y necesidades, pero solo una del uso del terreno, y una de los miedos de las personas es que van a ser desplazados y que aunque hagan mejoras, pueden todavía desplazarlos. Así que eso, viniendo en la ruta 1, todo el mundo entiende que solo es cuestión de tiempo en que les dé bastante dinero a los que desarrollan estos terrenos y quiero traer la atención acerca de este asunto y otros, pero viendo de lo que los residentes, viendo lo que se ha hecho en otros lugares y qué es lo posible hacer. Sí, vamos a tomar esa decisión si se necesitará una junta adicional para ello. ¿Algo más? No, solo iba yo a decir que el uso del terreno es un componente importante de esta discusión, de esta plática. Todos estos 5 elementos o componentes son muy importantes para preservar el costo que se pueda pagar a los residentes. Y quiero pedirles un poco de paciencia mientras trabajamos en este proceso de escribir el ensayo o el documento preliminar. La próxima transparencia, la junta de hoy, vamos a ver el alcance y la involucración de la comunidad, divulgación y participación de la comunidad, recomendaciones para ello. La primera es, habla acerca de la dirección de internet, de la dirección web, específicamente para los residentes de la comunidad de viviendas prefabricadas, en donde hay una hoja de información de páginas, cómo obtener ayuda, a facilitar la comprensión de la comunidad, también de saber cómo accesar diferentes ayudas de servicios y detalles de cada una de las comunidades. También componer otras encuestas como la que acabamos de tener, que fue una buena referencia, y también poner notificaciones de actividades del uso de terrenos, y también cuando haya otras juntas que puedan beneficiar a la comunidad y en donde puedan hacer preguntas, contactarse con el condado y actualizaciones de la legislación y puntos de contacto. Así que si hay preguntas de los residentes, hay alguien ahí a quien puedan contactar. ¿Hay alguna idea o algo que se quiera hablar adicional? Cualquiera de los miembros aquí que quieran comentar.
John.
Yeah, thank you. So it's resident focused. And I've made this comment before. The problem is, I come at it from the Chamber of Commerce, and the fact is we need workers, and this is really critical. People think it's all the business piece. It isn't. This is about community. But is there something on the website where the owners, because this is so unique to me, the owners actually, we need to reach out to them, and whether it's a stick or a carrot, think about, because they could go, and in fact, if I were an owner watching this, I'd be scratching my head thinking about, I need to do something, which is going to scare everybody. So we're trying to do the right thing for as many people as we can. But is there something here that could be owner focused, or maybe they've already got, a bunch of folks in the government on 911 and their speed dial, but we can't lose sight of the facts that there are people that own the property, own these groups, and maybe some even own their homes and not just rent them out. That there's multiple ways to think about the problem. We just kind of ignore it, trying to be resident based. Again, the heart versus the mind on how to solve this problem. We need to not have all stick when we're trying to work with the owners. I don't know.
When you say the owners, your reference is the landowners, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we have landowners on the task force that I hope can send us any feedback. They're here. And we also want to hear from them. We want to hear all points of views because there's multiple stakeholders in this conversation. So if you don't want to provide any feedback tonight, that's fine. Regina will be taking comments throughout, the next couple of weeks, and then we can incorporate into the document and present at the next meeting. So if you haven't had a chance to review the document in depth, this is just a conversation, and we're all looking to hear from you if we don't hear from you tonight. Any information you think it's missing from the list, any items that are included that shouldn't be included, things like that you can provide us any feedback, that would be great. Moving to the next recommendation A2. The draft recommendation is proposing to have an annual outreach meeting to all manufactured housing communities. So each mobile home will have an annual meeting so that the community comes out and hear about the rights, the responsibility, what resources is available, and have a meaningful conversation with important county staff. The notification letter about the meeting and the notification will also include the link to the website in case, a reminder every year that all the information is also located online, and they can have the access year round and not only wait for the annual meeting to provide any feedback or ask any questions. Is there any feedback, thoughts about the annual meeting outreach recommendation? John.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a pain in the neck tonight.
Go for it.
If I'm on the task force, should be speaking
Como
up.
miembro de la fuerza de trabajo, tengo que decir, esto lo hacemos para todas las personas que tienen vivienda prefabricada, y si no lo hacemos para todos, no será problemático, pero si lo hacemos, no hay problema. Será buena idea incluir a todos, pero no sé si hay algo único, solo un grupo de gente, sino algo que estandaricemos para todos. Sí, Tom, ¿tienes tú la respuesta? Un par de cosas rápidas. Aclarando, lo que estamos sugiriendo es que haya una junta anual con actualizaciones para los residentes de estos parques de viviendas móviles, y que haya una oportunidad, si así lo desean, de reunirse con personas del condado. Y contestándole a John, hay algo único, como hemos descubierto, en estos lugares de vivienda, de casas móviles que ellos enfrentan, mucha disparidad en cómo se conducen, cómo operan, y también que difiere mucho de el otro tipo de vivienda de multifamiliares o algo así. Así que sí hay una necesidad única en ellos. Perdón, está el micrófono apagado. Perdón por preguntarle, Tom, pero habló de algo único, imperativo, dijo la palabra. ¿Cuál es su perspectiva o qué quiere decir con esto? Sí, en absoluto. Esto es cosas de las que tenemos que hablar, de ver cómo difieren estos parques de casas móviles.
Parks. We have a large number of folks who are economically or linguistically isolated and may not have the tools that they need to be able to interact with the owner of their park, or they may simply need more education on how mobile home parks work. That's really what I meant.
Thank you. Jill has her hand up. Jill.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to also add that I think the ownership of the parks just makes it unique, where the mobile home residents often own their home but do not own the land underneath it. And although we often talk about mobile communities or manufactured, we know that they're not easily relocated to another site. So I do think that makes this a unique case as well. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
However, I'll just add my 2 cents. I understand I represent the owner of a mobile home park, and you're absolutely right. Most of the mobile homes that are in our parks, I would say a good proportion of them really can't be moved for a number of reasons. So, and in our cases, all of our lot renters do own their mobile homes. We do not allow renting of the mobile home. So there are some differences, but the need to deal with affordable housing is tremendous, as we know, in the region. And so I guess from my perspective, I think Mr. Boland has some points that he's made that are really important. And I also personally, and I've started to type this out as a chat with everyone, I think it's very important that this really be a partnership if we're going to get to solutions, and that you really, and there are going to be different solutions potentially in different parks because of the conditions that are there, because of the ownership, any number of things. And what I'm not hearing is anything other at this point, and I understand this is how many of the residents feel at Harmony, that the owners are not responsive to the needs of the community, and that they are on a very limited budget. So their, how can I say it? Their elasticity, if you will, to pricing for rent is not very elastic. They don't have much additional income. But again, I will just say owners have mortgages that they have to pay. They have to get approval from people who hold their mortgages for just about anything they do. The county has certain funds. Probably the purchaser of the mobile home park, if it was financed, and any banker or lender came to look at the park and saw the condition of the park, they probably insisted that certain funds be put aside, potentially depending again on what the condition of the purchase was. If the park was to remain a park, there's probably some funds in escrow for certain things. So it really takes, I think, everyone sitting at the table focused on the unique characteristics. And I'm sure, Tom, you've been doing this, so please forgive me, but of a particular situation. But what I'm hearing as a former planner for Fairfax County and now representing a developer owner of a mobile home park is a very one-sided perspective that's being presented in this task force. And I just think there needs to be a more equitable consideration and presentation. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronin. We truly appreciate your words coming from the owner of a trailer park. We definitely don't want to make it a one-sided conversation. So we appreciate your input, and I agree that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, that each community is a little bit different, and that's why we're here having this conversation, so that we can take the input from all sides.
And if I may, Soledad, I would just add, from the perspective of being staff to the committee, but also representing an owner operator myself in the form of the FCRHA, that this is a starting point, not the ending point, and we need to We really need the benefit, Ronnie, of your perspective so that we can incorporate that into this work and come to a set of recommendations that we can move forward by consensus.
Yeah,
Soledad, this is
thank you.
Eric.
Yeah, Eric, welcome.
Apologies for being late. I just wanted to convey your same sentiments and to remind everybody that, and I think Tom had mentioned this earlier, that this is the set of recommendations is comprehensive now, and really we're talking about certain recommendations, but we have to keep in mind that there's other portions of the presentation that are still coming. So as Tom said, we beg for your patience when we get to certain other topics that people are interested in, and that hopefully we will have some of those answers that you're looking for once we present some of the other topics in future meetings. So I think we gave you a copy of the entire document to look at as a draft. And I would recommend that you take sort of a holistic look of the entire draft, because some of those topics won't be discussed till a meeting or two from today. And so just to keep that in mind as we're discussing certain recommendations for tonight, that that's in the context of a much larger document that has all of those other answers that people may be looking for.
I have 3 hands up. I will start with Kathy.
Hi. I know that a lot of people may not realize, or maybe you do, you're talking about the differences in mobile home or manufactured home owners that rent the land and the regular affordable housing programs. Tom can testify to this, that Woodley is owned by Fairfax County, managed by Fairfax County, and it's a completely different situation than some of the other mobile home parks, manufactured home parks that exist today. Not that we don't have our own issues and things that come up, but we are protected by the Virginia Manufactured Home Act as well. So there are differences. And I think later on, they will probably, we'll discuss that set of differences under that act that, in Virginia. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well.
Thank you. David?
Yes, hi, thanks, Soledad. I would just add on the second point here, and I applaud the outreach. I think that's a very good thing. And I agree with Tom that there is a unique imperative attached to the mobile home parks. But what I would say on the second point is that I would make that a little bit more expansive, because I think it would be really worthwhile and beneficial to have a special effort to invite the residents into the planning process itself, into those discussions around the planning process, particularly for those discussions that affect their mobile home parks. And I just would like that to be a little bit more expansive and cover a little bit more territory when we do this kind of outreach.
Yes, that overlaps a little bit with recommendation A3 that talks about notifications of land use cases and projects that impact directly the community. So before I move in, I'm going to just call Mary again. She has her hand up. You're on mute.
Off mute. Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I was just wondering about community outreach in this committee, this task force that we're on. I see we have someone from Audubon here. I'm not sure which all of the mobile home parks representatives have showed up at this meeting. I know we tried to get some representatives at PennDOT Terrace. We had a one signed up, but he's kind of backed down. Clara's been in Carla's been in contact with him and she thinks he's not coming forth because he's afraid that the owner might take some retribution on him for participating in this. I don't think that's true, but we're finding the residents there are a little bit frightened to come forward. Since they were organized and asked for notification of the next door development that's going on. And they did realize finally that they're in the path of a community business center and a BRT stop. But there seems to be a sense there anyway that they can't participate in this task force without a retribution. So I'm wondering how we can overcome that.
Tom, do you have anything to say about that?
Just very briefly, Mary, I think what might be helpful, because I know you've been working with PennDOT, is if we set this aside, maybe you and I and the co-chairs have a conversation about that and try and sort out getting them represented here so that truly we can, finish walking through, this initial draft of this first set of recommendations.
So recommendation A3 is in regards to notifications of land use cases or any other rezonings or comp plan amendments that are adjacent or include the manufactured housing communities. So we want to make sure that all neighbors and owners and tenants are notified when the zoning cases, and they want to make sure they're clearly informed and they're an active participant in the process. Not just the notification, but I'm going to make sure that, when there are public hearings, that they have a voice, and notifications will be also posted in the website as we describe on recommendation A1. And then also talks about county staff coordinating with the district supervisor's office to coordinate a meeting and meeting with the residents. So any feedback, thoughts about this recommendation A3? How, when should the notice be provided, for example? John.
Yeah, sorry, Soledad. So
Go for it.
The only thought here is, I know in the past, Tom, we typically will get to the end and work on definitions. This might be something where we talk about setting the framework, because the words matter. When we talk about community, we come down and we talk about residents, but the community are the owner of the manufactured home. It's the landowner. And so just like saying the county staff will coordinate, with the district supervisor, meet with community residents, as the business guy, I want to know what's there. I want to know, we wouldn't talk to Reston and not talk to some of the business owners about some of the things that would impact and work with the district supervisor. And I don't think, and you guys have always been so inclusive and embrace all the folks involved. It just, the word community says something different. If this is just about residents for this community outreach, then let's just talk about residents. But maybe if we think about terms, defining a few, whether you like it or not, doesn't make a difference. We'll define them and that's what it's going to be. I'm okay with that. But we're going to immediately go to our paradigm for what some of these words mean. And it's different when it comes to this environment.
We can certainly work on that, John.
Any other feedback on recommendation A3? Recommendation A4. Hold on. Talks about community representatives, partners, and advocates. It suggests the establishing of a manufactured housing roundtable consisting of resident leaders from communities, owners, and managers. The purpose of the roundtable is to have an ongoing conversation, sharing of opportunities and information. The county will work on planning the roundtable and scheduling community engagement activities. It also recognizes that some communities already have a structure, homeowner resident association, with a governance structure and routine, while others may not. So it differentiates
Otras pues no lo tienen. Hay que diferenciar entonces cuando ya hay una junta de directores o una asociación de residentes, un liderazgo así, y quién debería de ser el contacto principal cuando están planeando actividades. Y cuando no hay nada formal, debería de haber algo más general y tal vez cada comunidad debería de nombrar a una persona que va a ser el contacto principal en los esfuerzos de planeación. También se sugiere que la comunidad representantes de lugares de culto, organizaciones sin fines de lucro y también representantes de agencias gubernamentales o cualquier otra persona que son de confianza de esta comunidad para que se comprometan con socios de la comunidad, que se identifiquen por medio de los residentes para asistir en esfuerzos de planeación. En realidad soy Erika. Un comentario. Para este tipo de trabajo va a terminar como en junio o julio. Esto es una respuesta para que se diga, ¿qué pasa cuando se termine este grupo de trabajo? La respuesta es, las mesas redondas van a ser organizadas por el condado. Y para eso es la intención de esta recomendación. Una versión de esto, de ese grupo de trabajo va a seguir adelante en cuanto al proceso de compromiso. Algún tipo de retroalimentación que necesitamos es qué tan seguido debería de reunirse este grupo. Se debería de hacer mensualmente, cada 3 meses, 2 veces al año. Estamos buscando un poquito de información de qué tan seguido ustedes quisieran ver esta mesa redonda o cualquier otra recomendación con respecto a este tema. La recomendación número 5 o A5, la encuesta de residentes, hablando de lo que escuchamos este día sobre Harmony Place, estamos sugiriendo que las encuestas sean hechas en cada una de las comunidades cada 3 años. En asociación con residentes de la comunidad para poder entender cuáles son las necesidades, qué es lo que está pasando en las comunidades. Y también debe de ser elaborado con comunidades sin fines de lucro, con asociaciones sin fines de lucro. Y estos resultados de la encuesta deben de ser compartidos, no solo con la comunidad, sino también con los hacedores de políticas y también con la Junta de Supervisores. ¿Algún tipo de retroalimentación sobre esta sugerencia sobre las encuestas cada 3 años? Voy a tratar de seguir con mis comentarios. Soledad, ese último punto de compartir con con la comunidad y los resultados de formulación de políticas. La razón de estar acá es para hacer recomendaciones a la Junta de Supervisores. Entonces, nuestro trabajo es informar a la Junta de Supervisores. Creo que ese es nuestro trabajo. Nuevamente, estoy tratando de decir que todos estamos en la misma página. No solamente es irnos y decir, no está pasando nada. Entiendo que ese es nuestro trabajo. No hablar y tener un buen reporte. Y son muy buenos y decir, qué buen reporte. Pero también involucrarnos activamente. Muchos de nosotros somos expertos en este tema para agregar ese valor y darle la información a la Junta de Supervisores. Soledad, si puedo, Tom. Muy brevemente, John, compartir los resultados con las personas responsables de formular políticas es como algo que se va a hacer, es una actividad que se va a hacer continuamente después de que se termine el trabajo de la fuerza de trabajo. Para los miembros relevantes, vamos a querer compartir con los miembros individualmente lo que se necesita, las cosas que hemos visto que se necesitan y cómo podemos darles recursos a ellos. Esa es la intención, más que hacer recomendaciones de políticas necesariamente. Es una actividad continua después que termine el trabajo de la fuerza de trabajo. La recomendación número A6 habla de la capacidad institucional. Agregar una persona al Departamento de Vivienda y Desarrollo para servir para coordinar todas las actividades relacionadas con la vivienda prefabricada, incluyendo el alcance y la participación de la comunidad también. Para eso sería este puesto de coordinador comunitario.
Questions, comments?
¿Alguna pregunta, algún comentario? La recomendación A7, la última recomendación, es asegurarnos que todas las reuniones son inclusivas y eso significa proveer intérpretes, a leer las traducciones de idiomas, proporcionar, apoyar a los residentes con discapacidades visuales, mitigar todas las barreras a la participación, o sea, transporte, tecnología, logístico, hora de las reuniones, acomodar a las personas para el cuidado de niños, asegurarnos que estamos comunicando con tiempo de anticipación, interactuar en diferentes formatos. Estamos reuniéndonos virtualmente y tener también toda información de nivel introductor para que se pueda entender de lo que vamos a hablar. Algo basado, que se ha discutido, que se ha hablado con el personal, con los miembros comunitarios, en lo que ha funcionado, lo que no ha funcionado. Algo que pudiéramos agregar a esta lista. Nada, ok. Voy a regresar a varias cosas. Una es que nunca recibí. Ronnie, estás en silencio. No recibí esto hasta esta noche. No sé qué pasó, no sé si lo habían enviado anteriormente. Entonces, busqué en mi spam o Mi Jong, no sé si estará ahí, pero voy a regresar a lo que el señor Bowen dijo antes. Cuando estamos hablando de alcance, este alcance necesita ser muy inclusivo, lo que significa que todas las cosas que se dicen en las reuniones con residentes, pero las necesidades también que tienen los dueños. Algunos dueños tal vez tienen dificultades financieras para hacer mejorías necesarias. Creo que necesita haber un compromiso más holístico. Creo que es muy importante. Y también hay obviamente una necesidad de servicios sociales, de estar involucrado en estas reuniones para ayudar a algunos residentes. Una de las cosas que puedo decirles que nosotros hicimos durante la pandemia es que pudimos obtener fondos para nuestros residentes en nuestros apartamentos, en nuestras comunidades móviles, am, para tener esos fondos transicionales durante la pandemia, porque algunos perdieron sus trabajos. Requiere un enfoque en todos las personas que tienen sus fondos en esto. Esto es muy importante y también creo que ustedes van a encontrar diferencias en las necesidades de las personas que son dueños de casas prefabricadas versus los que son los que rentan. Y esa diferencia también debería de ser tratada dentro del alcance. Gracias, Ronnie. Tom? Ronnie, antes que nada, me disculpo que no recibiste el documento ni la invitación. No sé qué pasó, pero creo que estoy seguro que vamos a arreglar esto. Con respecto a tus comentarios, no, estoy completamente de acuerdo. Creo que sería de mucha ayuda para nosotros en la próxima semana. eh, si cuando tengas más tiempo y nos puedes dar comentarios de parte de tu perspectiva o si puedes escribir un par de párrafos sobre lo que tú crees deberíamos de incluir o agregar para ser más inclusivos para los dueños de los parques, porque definitivamente lo queremos hacer y nos beneficiaríamos mucho de tu perspectiva, especialmente porque el parque que tú representas es tan exitoso en esta comunidad. Entonces, de verdad, apreciaríamos mucho eso. Si puedo ser de cualquier
Y
ayuda,
puedo
pues sí, voy
ayudar
a
con todo
ayudar.
gusto
También
y
voy a
les
hablar con los
dejaré
managers
saber
de los parques.
con otros socios que quieren que sea incluido. Gracias, Ronnie. Hemos tenido una muy buena plática y me hubiera gustado tener más comentarios de los miembros de la fuerza de trabajo, pero las recomendaciones están en la página de internet y se las mandaremos de nuevo. Nos aseguraremos de mandárselos a todos una vez más para asegurarnos y debemos recibir comentarios más tardar el 21 de marzo, lunes. A Regina está su email como contacto de información en la página de internet y queremos incorporar todos los comentarios que recibamos, publicarlos no más allá del 4 de abril y para llegar a la porción de involucramiento del proceso. Si hay algo que a alguien le preocupe acerca de estas fechas, déjenoslo saber, pero si no, ahí revisaremos y recibiremos también sus comentarios antes de esto. Antes de dar por terminado esta junta, queremos tener tiempo para comentarios públicos por parte del público o de miembros que no votan de la fuerza de trabajo. Si hay alguien que quiera añadir algo, por favor, hablen o levanten su mano con el icono. Vamos una vez, 2 veces. Antes de dar por terminado, queremos agradecerles a nuestros presentadores a los de la fuerza de trabajo, perdón, miembros por su arduo trabajo. También a nuestros presentadores, Marcela y por su buen trabajo. No tengan pena de mandarnos sus comentarios acerca de lo que sigue y antes de la junta del 11 de abril. Ojalá puedan revisar estos comentarios para que puedan hablar de ellos en la próxima junta, que es entendiendo las necesidades de la comunidad. ¿Algo más que alguien quiera agregar, Tom? No. Antes de dar por terminada la junta. Perdón, discúlpenme, pero quiero saber que nuestros socios del Departamento de Planeación han trabajado muy duramente también por parte de la sección de manejo de los terrenos. Están trabajando también muy arduamente y van a tener una nueva, un documento actualizado la próxima junta. No, Soledad, creo que quiero agradecer a todos por estar aquí presentes, a todos los miembros de la Fuerza de Trabajo, a todos los aquí presentes, muchas gracias. Gracias a todos. Que tengan muy buenas noches.